Talking Trump once again. Welcome back to Southeast Texas Weekly. Joining us to do so, Michael Lindsay with Lindsay and Parsons. Good to see you, sir.
Good to be here.
And Jeff Siddiqui with Southeast Texas Tea Party. Thanks for coming in.
You're welcome.
How on earth do you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants?
You know, I don't really think you have to deport them.
How do you do
Just
it?
take away the fertilizer.
Take away the jobs?
If you can't work, you can't go to school, you can't drive, you can't function in society, you have to find someplace else to go.
Yeah, okay. But does that destabilize the economy? Does it destabilize communities?
Sure it does, but you know, these people have an ideological purpose in all their positions, and no matter who it hurts, that's what they want. It's not going to happen. The American people are better than that.
Jeff Siddiqui says you're not in favor of the rule of law.
Sure I am, but I'm not in favor of letting 20 million people come here while we look the other way. Now all of a sudden we're going to crack down on them.
Well, Texas didn't let them, Uncle Sam let them. Texans are kind of rule of law folks.
Yeah, talk to George W. Bush about that when he as governor and president.
Well, we're talking about today, not yesterday.
No, I'm talking about how the 11 million people got here, whatever.
To the man that I would name Attorney General any day of the week, if given the opportunity, Michael Lindsay, who says what on this matter of the Fifth Circuit ruling? The Fifth Circuit, the appellate court, essentially in its ruling saying the president does not have the executive, the power, does not have the authority with that executive order.
I'm disappointed with the Fifth Circuit's decision. It's not all that surprising. It's it is the most conservative circuit court in the country, and that's why the lawsuit was originally filed in Texas to be appealed to the Fifth Circuit.
And what happens at the United States Supreme Court in your view?
I don't know what's going to happen at the U.S. Supreme Court, and it's bad policy and a bad dilemma. The president's been criticized for 6 years for having deported 5 million people. The president steps up, creates an executive order to allow people to stay. The Senate passed legislation 2 or 3 years ago, if we were all that interested in immigration reform. It sat there in the House. We talk about it on these debates, and it's unfortunate that nothing's being done. Like James says, it's just inhumane.
Wait, I just heard that bell. Are we playing password?
I'm not sure what that was.
Immigration.
You'll forgive us. It maybe sounded like something divine on your answer. So I don't know. Maybe you've been granted, a victory on that one. How wide is the authority of the president when it comes to a ruling that would allow 5 million undocumented immigrants to?
Well, it sounds like two courts.
That would otherwise be deported, according to this law that you continue to vaunt and hold up.
Well, it's just you can't have a country if you don't have a border that you enforce. I mean, that's international law. If you don't enforce your border, you're not a country.
It was a presidential overreach, you believe?
Well, obviously
Absolutely.
there is tension between the executive branch, the legislative branch, over this issue. And it will ultimately be resolved.
And that was the idea, after all, to have a tension there.
Right.
Did Dr. Ben Carson, who is tied with Donald Trump in the national polls, at least the Real Clear Politics poll, tied at 24%, did Carson clarify and really defend himself adequately on these allegations that he stepped out of line in the writing of his book and embellished on some of his statements there?
I think it's obvious that he embellished on the statements. I think he's tried to retract, modify, and clarify, and I don't think it's going very well. The statements that were made in the book are just a little variance with the truth with the embellishments.
Well, there is this question about whether Dr. Ben Carson, whether there's any evidence anyway that he was as violent as he says he was in his early days, whether he attempted to stab a friend and all of that. What do you make of Carson's
I really don't think that
issue?
Any of the people that support Ben Carson care about what came out in the reports.
As far as
that Politico really did themselves a disservice by being so polemic.
Well, does it speak though to character, this question of whether you actually sat down with General Westmoreland or whether you didn't? I mean, I guess I could see if someone says to me, well, we can definitely get you into West Point. I guess I could see taking that out the wrong way, but when you're physically sitting down with someone, you remember it.
Right.
And Westmoreland's a pretty distinctive looking figure. The late general was. Here's the problem. In terms of outlandish statements in this particular primary field, They come so fast and so furious, it doesn't really matter what they say. He's going to keep moving, and the people are going to nod or shake their head or do whatever they're going to do, and we'll live to fight another day.
Well, if it matters to you whether Hillary Clinton misled the American public on a video or what the terror act was, it should matter to you whether Dr. Ben Carson misrepresented his his actions in his early days. It seems to me.
Well, the scope of the outcomes is far different, though. We have
Both
people
things matter, but it's
dying.
not determinative.
that.
It's not determinative. Where those two candidates stand, it centers on a lot of other issues. both
No.
with,
Enough
Clinton
with you guys.
and with Carson.
We'll have to come back after this break. Stay with us.